once and for all.
Whether by way of the virus or the ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Haran's days are numbered.
Hey, can we confirm we're getting good voiceover commentary out on the live stream?
The eyes of the world have been glued to the city of Haran for the past 2 months, following the outbreak of a previously unknown pathogen.
It is not yet clear what has caused this gruesome affliction. The local government's Ministry of Defense erected a quarantine wall shortly after the outbreak.
The global relief effort's steady stream of supply drops has sustained what few survivors remain in the city. The Ministry of Defense believes more radical action should be taken to stem the tide of this virus.
The question is, are there still non-infected survivors in the city as the GRE maintains? And if so, will the ministry still go through with a stated plan to annihilate the city in an attempt to wipe out the Haran virus once and for all?
Whether by way of the virus or the ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Haran's days are numbered. The eyes of the world have been glued to the city of Haran for the past 2 months, following the outbreak of a previously unknown pathogen.
It is not yet clear what has caused this gruesome affliction. The local government's Ministry of Defense erected a quarantine wall shortly after the outbreak.
The global relief effort's steady stream of supply drops has sustained what few survivors remain in the city. The Ministry of Defense believes more radical action should be taken to stem the tide of this virus.
The question is, are there still non-infected survivors in the city as the GRE maintains? And if so, will the ministry still go through with a stated plan to annihilate the city in an attempt to wipe out the Haran virus once and for all?
Whether by way of the virus or the ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Haran's days are numbered. The eyes of the world have been glued to the city of Haran for the past 2 months, following the outbreak of a previously unknown pathogen.
It is not yet clear what has caused this gruesome affliction. The local government's Ministry of Defense erected a quarantine wall shortly after the outbreak.
The global relief effort's steady stream of supply drops has sustained what few survivors remain in the city. The Ministry of Defense believes more radical action should be taken to stem the tide of this virus.
The question is, are there still non-infected survivors in the city as the GRE maintains? And if so, will the ministry still go through with a stated plan to annihilate the city in an attempt to wipe out the Haran virus once and for all?
Whether by way of the virus or the ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Haran's days are numbered. The eyes of the world have been glued to the city of Iran for the past 2 months, following the outbreak of a previously unknown pathogen.
It is not yet clear what has caused this gruesome affliction. The local government's Ministry of Defense erected a quarantine wall shortly after the outbreak.
The global relief effort's steady stream of supply drops has sustained what few survivors remain in the city. The Ministry of Defense believes more radical action should be taken to stem the tide of this virus.
The question is, are there still uninfected survivors in the city as the GRE maintains? And if so, will the ministry still go through with a stated plan to annihilate the city in an attempt to wipe out the Haran virus once and for all?
Whether by way of the virus or the ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Iran's days are numbered. The eyes of the world have been glued to the city of Haran for the past 2 months, following the outbreak of a previously unknown pathogen.
It is not yet clear what has caused this gruesome affliction. The local government's Ministry of Defense erected a quarantine wall shortly after the outbreak.
The global relief effort's steady stream of supply drops has sustained what few survivors remain in the city. The Ministry of Defense believes more radical action should be taken to stem the tide of this virus.
The question is, are there still non-infected survivors in the city as the GRE maintains? And if so, will the ministry still go through with a stated plan to annihilate the city in an attempt to wipe out the Haran virus once and for all?
Whether by way of the virus or the ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Iran's days are numbered. The eyes of the world have been glued to the city of Haran for the past 2 months, following the outbreak of a previously unknown pathogen.
It is not yet clear what has caused this gruesome affliction. The local government's Ministry of Defense erected a quarantine wall shortly after the outbreak.
The global relief effort's steady stream of supply drops has sustained what few survivors remain in the city. The Ministry of Defense believes more radical action should be taken to stem the tide of this virus.
The question is, are there still non-infected survivors in the city as the GRE maintains? And if so, will the ministry still go through with a stated plan to annihilate the city in an attempt to wipe out the Haran virus once and for all?
Whether by way of the virus or the ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Iran's days are numbered.
Alright, hey, what's up everybody? This is Gascally Status from GearWorks.com and the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube, here with an early AM live stream and another episode of Rounding Off Infinity, the Firearms Tales. Now, the Firearms Tales is the branding that I apply to all of my Let's Play videos that are, I normally say about first-person shooters, but in this case I will simply say for games that are in the first person. It feels a little weird because Dying Light, despite being in despite being in the first person, definitely feels more akin to a third-person action-adventure game. And I'm sorry, it's first thing in the morning, even though we've gotten off to an early start. My systems, despite the Benadryl last night, are all clogged up, so Alright, so I did a little play test of this last night just to get things going, to get familiar with the title. This is the first time that I've ever played Dying Light, unfortunately. So this is a 2015 game, a January release of that year, similar to the February release of Resident Evil last year. And unfortunately, I've only got about 30 minutes for gameplay this morning, but hopefully we'll get going pretty good here.
Okay, who's hurt?
He's bleeding pretty bad.
Let me see him.
So let's go ahead and start running down the tech that is in play this morning.
Thanks for the help. I'll take care of him from here.
It's being used to render the live stream.
Well done, 31.
Talk to Raheem. It's being a bit presumptuous that
Not bad for a new guy.
I know how to get back to Raheem.
I just want to help out and repay you guys for what you did for me.
Well,
Definitely need to look up the voice acting talent in here. I hear a lot of voices that sound familiar. Already got that. There's some duct tape in there now. So for a video game capture device this morning, I am using the Mirrorbox HSV 321. Now the nice thing about the Mirrorbox is it is it's only $99, at least that's what it was when I bought it from Amazon. It is a dead simple device, does exactly what it is created to do, and pretty much does it pretty reliably all the time. Nothing in there for me to use. So you have this little Q button that you can hit that basically tells you where to go. This is the elevator. So the whole reason I'm using the Mirrorbox this morning and for the next couple of weeks is because some of my viewers on my YouTube channel, which also goes by the same name, Rounding Off Infinity, asked me to verify that this game capture device does actually capture in 1080p 60 frames per second natively, and that it is not doing some kind of upscaling shenanigans, which I'm pretty sure is the case. What I'm not absolutely certain about is exactly how to test that. Supposedly, what I've found so far is that there's an online engine that you can
Taken care of.
take a screen grab
Cake. What else you got for me?
of this and then
Well,
drop it into that engine, and it will tell you if the video that was used to originate the still photo, well, is an upscaled video.
Explosive charges? Really? What?
So we'll see how that goes.
Believe that. You can't tell a convincing lie to save your life.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah? You think you can't die?
You're not my mom.
No, I'm not. I'm
So that my coffee's cold because
So you might have to be a little nicer to me
it was
sometimes
such a
when you
rickety
find
start
out
this
who's
morning.
right. Especially now that Amir is gone.
you're Jade, right?
Right?
I'm hoping that my audio mix balance is correct. Like I said, I've got about 30 minutes to play, so
I owe you
I wasn't wrapped around the axle about
You do.
verifying that right before starting.
Keep
I did audio mix balance testing last night, but after I got done testing, I tweaked the in-game audio up just a bit, so I hope it's balanced correctly. But of course, with the sliding logarithmic scale of audio, it's sometimes difficult to
So,
guess correctly.
Is that enough? Do I get to talk to Brecken now?
First, go change your clothes. I left some new ones for you in your room. You're in 194.
Something wrong with what I'm wearing?
You need something that fits the job Brecken wants you to do. Call me when you've changed.
I'm very impressed by TechLand's game engine. It's being used to render the game. Not so much so the voice acting, in some cases. The primary character here feels like he's always a bit over the top. A little too dude bro. And a little overly dramatic. The gamma settings that I just left it on the default gamma settings, but Stash. Go.
Okay, Raheem, I'm ready. Where do I find Brecken?
Not so fast, 31. If you're going to earn your keep, we have to find out if you've got the skills. So get your ass up to the gym. It's on the top floor. Just a couple flights up.
So I'm still doing a bunch of run and fetch and introductory kind of stuff. I hoped that I was beyond this. So I wonder if now that I have done a mission, if yep, I can get by here.
Zombies like computers.
Now, maybe this is just a bit of misadventure on the way up. Oh. Okay. So I've been up on the 13th floor, so I know this should be the roof, 3 flights of stairs up. Or whatever. So I guess this is to get you used to the parkour.
Well, what are you waiting for? Get over here.
Press and hold space. So this is a little janky.
You want to feel right at home. A crane? On a crane.
So like I'm really impressed by what the engine is rendering here. Again, this game is 3 years old. Ooh. Oh.
Welcome to our gym. First things first, you've got to learn how to run.
What do you mean, learn how to run?
Now the other thing that I do like about the HSV 321 is that the connections for it are both USB-A, so there's no C connection or micro SD connection or anything like that.
Kill myself.
On the other end, it's just a straight USB-A. That's helpful for me when I have a bunch of different video game capture cards, because it's a very distinct cable.
Raheem, don't
Great.
move. I'll get help.
I was just fucking with you.
Son of a bitch.
What? Can't take a joke? Come on, get your ass down here.
Christ on a crutch.
Really?
Holy shit! Holy shit!
It's a rush, isn't it? But don't blow your load just yet. There's more. To survive outside, you got to take advantage of the terrain. Most eaters suck at climbing, so the harder the terrain is, the better for you. I've got some typical situations set up for you. Let's see how you handle them.
So the other thing that's in play this morning is for a webcam. I'm using the Zoom Q8 musician's video camera.
Sometimes it's better to crawl through the low, narrow passages. Eaters will have a tough time following you.
So this is me trying to run this like Mirror's Edge.
Try not to slow down once you start running. Outside, if you stop, you're probably dead.
Yeah, but where am I supposed to go from here? Okay.
Not bad. For a noob. Alright, get up on that scaffold. don't fall, because there sure as hell ain't no net.
Where am I supposed to go? Okay.
That's
Yeah,
my
sure.
favorite. Cat grab and muscle up. You won't survive outside for 10
Okay.
minutes if you can't do that.
Great. This is a really... So the control system is your... You have to hit and hold the jump button. And hold the middle mouse button. And at the same time, find your pathing through here. Yeah, this is aggravating. Come on, seriously? I do not want to have to go all the way back down just to get up to... Certainly he should be able to grab that ledge, right? Here we go again. Just sincerely aggravating. I think there's a... No, there's not. Why can I not get onto the scaffolding up above that? Okay. There's clearly a scaffolding level up above that. That should allow me to make the jump over here. So now I'm regretting Titanfall 2's kind of demo run feature, where it would kind of give you a ghost image of you traversing to the correct path to get there. I would also think that I could grab onto the wood outcroppings here. That looks to not be the case. No, we got it. Okay, I got... No, hold on to the thing, dude. Okay. Figured that out. So I was starting to get a little frustrated. Jeez, hold mouse button W and jump. Okay. Look at another ledge.
Good job.
Alright.
Okay, time for the real test. Get back to the crate. Make use of anything and everything while you run.
So unlike Mirror's Edge, I don't think this thing is gonna... So this is again, what's bothersome is clearly I should be able to surmount that, right? I just feel like it's really wonky on what it allows you to traverse along and the impact collision detection, so this is a little less forgiving than the Assassin's Creed system, for instance. And the whole problem with this parkour design in a game is that if it is not butter smooth and doesn't allow you to move at speed, this is the problem I had with Mirror's Edge when I played it, and that's a game that I played all the way through, is that the moment that you miss, that entire feeling of speed and kind of awesomeness, right, which I reckon is kind of the same thing people are experiencing with Spider-Man, is the moment that that's suspended. You know, the moment that you slow down even for like 2 seconds and there's a goofy collision event, then it entirely, you know, the effect of that enjoyment effect, that dopamine hit that you're getting from the parkour movement just completely goes away, even when you get back up running at speed. And so a little more of the kind of automation that you get with the Assassin's Creed system, although the Assassin's Creed system is sometimes frustrating, right? Because what happens with that is you get collision detection on things that you're not trying to mantle. And then you wind up, you know, on top of some building somewhere that you didn't really intend, or you didn't really intend to be.
Okay, that's enough. You've got some serious natural talents, man. Either that, or you've done this before. You've done this before?
Hardly. The closest I ever came to this was running track in high school.
Well, then you're a fucking prodigy. Never seen anything like it.
Now that... So there may also be some things where there's only a certain bit of the path enabled, because these things are not the things I'm mantling now are not any taller, or are not any shorter than some of the things I was trying to mantle before, but I couldn't. So there may have been some chicanery going on. Just not going to try and test how far can you leap stuff from there. Now I should be able to use the crane to traverse back. Let's see. Come on. I don't know if it's not letting me traverse that because of that rebar that's right there. It's a little goofy. Let's see if we can figure out our way back. Alright, so like I said, for the web camera, I'm using the Zoom Q8 web camera this morning. Well, it's not really a webcam, so again, it's a, I guess I would call it a semi-professional camera that is really designed for musicians to utilize for their no, I didn't realize the base of the crane was right over here. To utilize to record their performances. And then the really cool thing about it, it has multiple microphone inputs, so so it has two condenser microphones and a daughter card. Expansion that's available. It sits on a swiveling cradle harness on the back. And then it also has inputs.
What's happening to me?
And then it also has inputs for two XLR mics or two TLS mics on the back panel as well.
Something went wrong. Raheem, what just happened to me?
Oh shit. I bet you're having your first seizure. Just get back over here.
So I'm actually using that XLR input on the back this morning as part of the testing that's going on. And the other neat thing about that, which I did not expect from such a small camera body, is the Zoom Q8 is actually capable of providing 48 volt DC phantom power to an XLR mic. It doesn't need its own power supply. So the microphone that I'm using with it this morning, the Liegi L58, has its own power supply. But unfortunately, I did not need to use it. I'm right here, dude.
Raheem, what the fuck was that? Does this mean I'm turning?
Most likely no. At least not yet. Seizures remind you that you're infected. You better go see Dr. Zera though. To check you out, probably give you a...
And hear the in-game audio this morning. What I'm using is the Rage of Man of War Destiny 2 Tournament Edition headset. And again, I'm just using the headphone component of that. In order to route the sound, what I've done is I've used the Stereo Link virtualization channel in Windows 10 to send the audio into my headset, but then also record the output audio and send it over to the Mirrorbox HSV 321. Now, the only small quirk about the HSV 321 is that in order to capture the audio, the Mirrorbox is one of those game capture cards that virtualizes its sound channel and presents it as a separate device. So you have to go into OBS in the device configuration screen and enable a, I forget what they call it. Why does it show me needing to go there? And I can't talk to that person. Of course, once again, I didn't actually pay attention to what Raheem was telling me to do. I'm betting, yeah, so there was like a hospital area, and there was, wait, no? Okay. So of course, one of my not favorite things to do is to spend a lot of time doing stuff like this, which is running around trying to figure out where the heck I'm supposed to be.
It used to be a really nice town, you know?
I have not seen. I don't think I can traverse this entire floor, but I could be wrong. Maybe I need to take the Vader. Yes. Hold F. It's another thing that's a little goofy is it has different interfaces where you click F and hold F.
Right. They've given me an actual job, and nobody suspects I'm not who I say I am. So far, so good. And once Dr. Zera helps me manage these symptoms I'm dealing with, I'll be even better.
So this is a bit of a slow burn. Checkpoint save system, by the way, so you can't save anywhere.
You're the new scout.
Now this morning I'm playing at what I call Desktop 4
Name's Crane.
at Workstation 4. Actually at Workstation 6.
Here, this is for you. By the way, word around the tower is you're just another deadbeat in line for food on Antis.
Now this is my secondary Uber boxing. It's actually the first one that I built, but these are my, this is one of my DIY builds that I purpose built to be able to be capable of hailing both our PC gaming, video editing, and being a streaming PC. So it's equipped out with an AMD Ryzen 5 1600X CPU, 24 gigabytes of DDR4, 2666 megahertz RAM,
Bear that in mind.
and an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1070 GPU. Runs off of a 500 gigabyte SanDisk SSD and has a few hard drives inside the case. It's built in a Thermaltake V21 core case which is basically kind of a 4x4. It basically takes a mid-tower and folds it in half and makes it twice as wide. These are things you can buy, which I cannot afford, apparently.
Things are getting worse and worse.
Ooh.
Going outside, yeah?
Apparently so.
Okay, new guy. Be careful out there. We've lost too many already.
Now, again, the primary reason I'm playing this is because the,
Okay, noob. You got Dr. Zera set up in a semi-trailer on a fenced-in playing court.
the
When you leave
wrench, the
tower,
bar. I
take a
thought I
left
had.
and head due south. You can't miss it.
It's Crane, kid.
All right. Crane. Just keep moving.
I thought I had. Did I just get? Yeah, maybe that's the pipe he just gave
There's no
me.
time to take in the sights. And try not to make too much noise. Sound attracts those fuckers.
Ooh. Great. Well, how am I supposed to get down there without making any sound? And again, you cannot game save. Nope. Yeah. I'm back in the safe zone. Very cool. It's very interesting that I gave you just that bit of a taste of being out in the open area.
Never figure out how to climb on top of a van.
So the reason I'm playing this is because the E2KG Picks Plays gaming assignment for last week and this week, going into our show next Tuesday night.
It's called antism. Suppresses the symptoms here.
Ooh, that means there's not a cure.
Antism postpones the inevitable.
Wow.
Best the GRE could do.
So what we're doing for these 2 weeks leading up to our first Gamer Experience show
There's no cure right now.
next Tuesday is we're supposed to be checking out games that have a faction or reputation system in them
A cure
and seeing how much whatever individual game we select
Oh shit, you really think you
actually has an impact. Whether it impacts your gameplay during or whether it actually impacts your outcome at the end.
Who's Dr. Camden?
A colleague trapped in Sector 0.
So one of the things I latched on to is Dying Light is a game that I skipped in 2015.
Operating via radio.
Probably it came out like the middle of January, and
As if the connection
I was probably oblivious to it coming out of the holiday season deluge.
earlier experiments had borne fruit.
But it is getting a sequel next year in 2019, and I was reading an article detailing how the developers have made a very robust reputation and faction system, so I wanted to go back to the original and check that out. Now I may, if I have time, also play some Fallout New Vegas
They didn't?
and some Galactic Civilizations 2 to also play around with faction and reputation systems. I don't know if I'm going to get to those.
So much time on it.
Time is a little compressed between now and next Tuesday.
In any case, all right. I'm quite busy, so on your way now. What was I doing?
Speed keeps you alive. So don't...
Raheem, Zara checked me out and gave me another shot.
Okay, great. That ought to hold you. For a while. Which is good. Because I'm starting to get used to the idea of bossing you around. So, time for a real trial. Go talk to Spike. You'll find him near Zera's truck. He's got the first real job for you.
So once again, thanks so much for anybody who happened to swing by and check out the live stream, or anybody who swings by and checks out the archive version over on my YouTube channel, or comes by on my Facebook page, Rounding Off Infinity, and checks it out anytime later. We'll probably be back on this probably tonight, hopefully, get another hour and a half in. So once again, thanks so much for anybody who checked it out or swung by. Please feel free to like the page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, whichever you prefer. Once again, my name is Vinny Stamus from GearWorks.com and the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube. Also head over to the E2KG Network channel on YouTube and check out our series of podcasts covering Fox Television's The Gifted, or It's Another Thing movies series, where we check out new movie drops on Netflix twice a month and then get together to do a on-air review show. You can also check out our comic book podcast that goes down weekly, What's Your Issue? And finally, the gaming podcast, which goes down every Tuesday night at about 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Enough to keep going. So thanks again. That's going to do it for me. I'm out of here.